Because I saw this, I saw like that, that I think I only saw thumbnails, you know? I only saw thumbnails, and I wanted to, because I in the past, when I did the reviews on Tekken and such, like for the Blue Rank players, which is on ice now because the game is a bit weird. But some people already probably know like my kind of takes on this. But I wanted to do it because I saw like Mike made a video on this. I think he disagreed. I think it was like he disagrees. I haven't seen the video yet, and I've seen a Moonsault, obviously a Moonsault Slayer thumbnail and the title, and it seemed that people are like in disagreements about this. And for me, it seemed like my take is pretty clear, I think. And I wanted to see like what does he say? Like what can be? I mean, for me, things seem relatively clear.
Defense in this game, you can't play the game. You just get obliterated. I think Tekken 8 is the hardest Tekken game ever for intermediate players. If you're an intermediate player, unless you have a really good mental and you can relax, you're gonna go insane.
I mean, oh yeah, something that I maybe have to say. I did a few videos. Okay, for those of you who don't know, in the Nova Saiken arc, I made basically a comedic satire video about Akuma, and I basically downplayed the shit out of Akuma just for the lulz. And MainMan actually reacted to that video. Like, I'm not kidding. And to quote him, to give his quote, he said, I think he said like, your arm falls off. Like,
damn, dude, that's execution.
Right here, it is basically not achievable for. Damn, this guy has execution. So I am MainMan certified execution god. So, well, and obviously this led to quite some people already calling me basically a MainMan dick rider. And one famous quote is, I am part of the MainMan, the TMM fanboy squad. I'm part of the TMM fanboy squad. So it already goes wonderful. I'm basically dick riding everyone anyways, right? What was it? Like I am a fighting GM meat rider.
finnT. Who's finnT? finnT wants to make a video about me. Oh, okay. I seen your videos on my algorithm. Okay.
I am a MainMan fanboy squad member, proudly. I am Mrs. Playstuff's biggest simp.
Of course, I'm gonna like and subscribe. I like Finn. He's a nice dude.
And possibly I am like Mike Hollow's cum bucket, right? Like, you can't. And the funny part is, people don't attack anything I am saying. They're just saying, oh, you're a meat rider, right? They're not saying like, with Fighting GM it was like you're an elitist and shit. And I'm like, no, Fighting GM is just right, you fucking cunts. But yeah. Whatever. Hey ladies, how's it going? It goes well. I just want to see what MainMan's take here is and give mine and see like why, what kind of problems like people have with this. So let us just focus on Lord MainMan for a moment.
Tekken 8 is way more easier than 7 because of being way more offensive.
Okay, so that is the take, yeah? So someone in chat says Tekken 8 is easier because more offensive, okay.
Offensive players find Tekken 8 more difficult than Tekken 7, but in general... No, exactly. it's harder to defend. I always find it a little bit amusing when people present the idea you're presenting, that Tekken 7 is harder than Tekken 8 because it's so much harder to attack in Tekken 7. And it's so much easier to defend in Tekken 7 because you can...
I mean, I think we will let it almost like play and then I give my take, because like it's pretty short, so I don't want to always interrupt him in case he says something that I would say.
Options select so much with a backdash cancel and a magic 4. But what you don't realize, in my opinion, is that it's the complete opposite that is true. The hardest thing to do in Tekken is to defend. It's never been to attack.
Any fighting game.
And it's harder than ever to defend in this game, because you don't have an options like backdash. You don't have a magic 4 to get you out of trouble very safely. And characters have super overtuned and oppressive attacks. So now, most of the stuff, you actually have to duck now. You gotta sidestep,
you have to make a decision,
But the hardest thing in Tekken has always been defense. Oh, it's so easy to attack in Tekken 8, that makes it easier. How does it make it easier for you? You're saying this game is easier because it's so easy to attack. But you're not playing alone, are you? Right? You're playing against your opponent, and he also has an easier time attacking. It's the person with the best defense that wins in the end. And it's never been harder to defend, in my opinion, than it is in this game. Because you get so locked down. If this was a casino 50-50 game, wouldn't that mean that a bunch of randoms would win the big tournaments?
Oh, to that I have to say something. Yeah, let me make a note.
Thank you for being here.
Oh
Thank
my
you
God.
guys.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye.
You know, you should all do ad block. I actually have it activated, but
wouldn't a bunch of randoms win the big tournaments?
okay, I make a note for the casino.
And then what
points.
did I see? Joka, the person in EU, has the best defense in EU. He was the first one to clear God of Destruction. Was that a coincidence? Ni won EVO Japan with a masterclass
there I have to
in
make a
defensive gameplay.
Ni.
There's so many dumb things in this game right now, but if you have the defensive competence of Ni, you can deal with it. Ni showed during that tournament that a lot of these counters on these dumb moves, it's a skill issue. In Tekken 7, where it was pretty easy to defend, not super easy, but it was certainly easier. Magic 4, backdash away, especially with Zafina and Kunia and Alisa, they can back away from anything. Oh, they feel pressured? Reset. Back away. It turns out that in Tekken 8, if you don't have good defense in this game, you can't play the game. You just get obliterated. I think Tekken 8 is the hardest Tekken game ever for intermediate players.
I will first let him speak.
Because intermediate players don't have conventional Tekken defense or strong conventional Tekken defense. And if you don't have that in this game, you are obliterated. Because it's so hard to get out of trouble in this game. That statement you made, for me, it's the opposite. I would just do a 180 on your statement. This game is super fucking difficult because defending is so difficult. But it can be done. It can be done. It's just that you gotta be a 10 out of 10 player. Players tend to forget the true skill gap between pro players and good Tekken players. Yeah, but dude, even among the pro players, you know, the difference between someone like Anakin and Arslan or Anakin and Ni is still huge. Even among the pro players, you see gigantic skill gaps. I felt it when I played against Joka. Like, he displayed defense where I was like, oh shit, you can actually negate this mix-up. You can option select that. You know, those guys just show you defense where suddenly you understand that, like, oh god, as dumb as this game is, a lot of the stuff can be dealt with if you are just god mode. How many pros said Feng Wei's new back 4 mix-up or back 4 tornado was bullshit? What does Ni do? He blocks a 12 frame attack, instantly steps jet upper. Are you and I gonna do that? No. But we gotta recognize that we're not good enough. You can always blame the game and say, oh, 50-50 casino, but in the end you don't know how to defend. Yeah, exactly. If you watched Evo Japan, how much mindless spam did you see?
Well,
I never saw mindless spam. People were actually super cautious about pressing most of the time. Ulsan played very aggressive, but also of course had impeccable defense. Have you seen Ulsan's backdash? Ulsan's movement? I'm just like, how does he do that? In other words, this game is only created for talented few, and unless you're super talented, there's no point playing it. Rather play something you're more talented for. Quick draw, you're saying with other words what I was trying to explain there when someone said that this game is easy. I said, no, it's probably the opposite. This game is unbelievably difficult. Learning defense in this game is really difficult, and it always has been. You use Tekken 7 as an example, you know. In Tekken 7, I mean, you know how to string attacks together and create flowcharts and doing a 50-50 mix-up, how to do a throw. Most people can learn that really quickly.
yeah.
But how do you defend against 40 characters throwing stuff at you? How do you duck mid-high strings? How do you backdash properly? How do you punish in general? How are sidesteps used? When do I do a step like this? When do I sidewalk? What side should I go against your particular character? What's up with parries? Are those good? Sabakis. How do I throw break? How do I break 1-2, 1+2 throws? How do I do a low parry? Learning defense is the PhD in Tekken. Learning offense is a 7-week course internship at your local.
I mean, good offense
grocery
is not.
store.
Good offense is also
Defense
not that
is the
easy to learn.
PhD
To
of
be honest,
Tekken.
it's also difficult.
And that's why I said it's never been harder to achieve that PhD than it is in Tekken 8. So yeah, that's all I was trying to say. Yeah, this game is unbelievably fucking difficult. If you're an intermediate player, unless you have a really good mental and you can relax.
I have difficulties with the intermediate stuff all the time. Like, I don't know where he thinks intermediate begins and where this ends. Especially in Tekken 8, where everything is so weird. Like, it would help if we had a classification for this, because when you are an intermediate player, you are obviously, per definition, in the process of learning. Obviously, you won't have the solid defense, right? Like, the word itself is basically making that impossible. So I don't really know, you know, where to go with this.
You're
with
gonna
intermediate.
Go insane, because you're gonna be so overwhelmed. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. My defense is insanely good. I defend my virginity from women really good. You are so good at that, Manis. Anytime one hand comes anywhere close to your scrotum, you just instantly low parry, just frame. I don't know how you do that, Manis, but it's impressive.
He does. Wait, okay, so, okay. Let's begin. You say he thinks, like, Emperor is tournament level. I don't believe he thinks that. Like, maybe in Season 2, beginning, there it was like this, because it was harder to rank up and all the top players were basically, like, sitting in Emperor and stuff. But, okay. So, the general sentiment I fully agree with. The thing is, in my perspective, like, from my perspective, it is obviously way harder to defend in Tekken 8 than in Tekken 7 per design. The game is designed for you not be able to solve the defensive puzzle completely. Like, way less than in Tekken 7. Obviously, it is always... You shouldn't design a game where you can perfectly defend. It would be a bad fighting game. It would be bad. That is why we have unreactable lows and low pokes in Tekken, right? Because if you could defend against everything, the game would be dog shit. But to defend properly, or to defend against a, for you or for most players, like, a satisfying amount of options, it has gotten completely impossible. So let's start with the most obvious one. The most obvious one is, should I make something like, I can make a text here, right? So the most obvious one, chip damage. chip damage is the most obvious indicator of where we are in the design of this game, right? So you can't block forever because you will eat. We should be a bit careful here because it's not actually real chip damage, it's gray life damage, right? I can get it back. But nonetheless, it shows you already design perspective that we have an offensive focus. Then, so I fully agree with the fundamental sentiment. So chip damage makes it harder to defend. Then we have, how do you say this? Like more, or like easier to create plus frame situations. Right? Like it is way easier to create plus frame situations because of heat dash, heat smash. And we have more moves where they put plus frames on them. So that leads to so the point is, if you are confronted with more of these, wait, I should finish this. Then horizontal movement, sorry, less effective. Or like less, well, I mean, it's, yeah, well, it's less. It is less effective. Plus, how do you say this? Moves like, how do you say, Yoshimitsu. No, I should word this differently. So, character toolkit, something like this, right? Yoshi. Now, see, I should make this. This was already season 1, yeah? This is just to show you the general design we are working with here, right? So, I will explain this. I will just finish this list. If you take a look at all of this, here we can, what we can, oh yeah. This is, oh wait, this is still, this is season 1. We go through this, and then I will make my point really clear. Reina, what is this? Reina 3+4 is Heaven's Wrath. This should be enough. So, I will just make it clear why I would in general, I will read what you have to say, but I will first like get this out why I think that it is definitely way harder. So, first of all, we have chip damage. Then we have, it's easier to create plus frame situations, right? So, for example, heat smashes on block or heat dash, right? +5. Now, this leads to you have to be aware of the options of your opponent's characters more than in Tekken 7. Because you need to make educated guesses, right? You need to. This is why a player like Fighting GM, or this sentiment is like, everyone has this sentiment, when this game came out, right? Basically everyone you asked says you need to lap more in this game. Why? Because you are confronted with plus frame situations that are pretty dangerous, where you need to make an educated guess. You need to. Because otherwise you will die. You notice this when you play against Lydia. If you play against Lydia and you don't know how her stances work, like horse, cat, wolf, if you don't know how this works, you will get obliterated. You don't even get to play. Because you cannot make, you need to know her options because she is plus. It's like super simple, right? It's super simple. If people heat smash you on block, you need to know what is going on now. You cannot just stand there and take it and take it and take it because you cannot get away. You need to be actually, this is the stupid meme, right? You need to be active on defense. This is the stupid word, but it is true. So this is the plus frame situations, right? It's way easier to create this stuff. Now, horizontal movement is less effective, meaning now you need to use the third dimension. Yeah, horse, cat, wolf, heaven and earth. Right. Exactly. Now, in a lot of these situations, to actively defend, a backdash is not enough. If you want a big counter, you need to use sideways movement. And now it gets funny. Because in Tekken, this is why we have to stress that defense in every fighting game is mad hard to acquire. Like, mad hard. Especially, and always was, in Tekken. Because it's so heavily matchup knowledge focused. You need to know. And you can go so deep with it. For example, one of my favorite examples is, let's say you play Yoshimitsu and you play against Feng Wei. Feng Wei has down forward 2-2, which is a -7 on block, mid, wall splat. In Tekken 7 it was a bounce, right? Now let's say you play Yoshimitsu. This move is -7 on block, so it's safe, right? Wrong. Yoshimitsu can punish that with flash because Feng pushes himself into Yoshimitsu. Not many people know this. But this is how sick and how high you can optimize defense in Tekken through sheer knowledge. It's just a vocabulary test. Every one of us knows this. So it's super hard already if we take Tekken 7 to learn defense. Because you need to know so much. Especially if you consider in Tekken 7, the game was still out for like 3 or 4 years and we already had 50 characters. This shit is insane. So we need to make this really clear that defense, even without the Tekken 8 stuff, is almost unreasonable in Tekken in general. You had a lot of people when Leffen played Tekken and gave his takes, right? You had a lot of other fighting game players chime in and also give their reason what they think about Tekken and why they don't play it. And you had literally EVO world champions in 2D games say, I don't play Tekken because I don't want to spend months to get a doctorate to even be able to compete in this game. So even in the realm of fighting games, Tekken is a bit of an outlier with how vast the move lists are and how insanely knowledge checky the game is in the beginning, right? For months. So we have to get this really clear. But now we get to we are in the Tekken 8 characteristics why I think, yes, it's way harder to defend. Now, horizontal movement less effective, don't need to explain this. You just need to hold more shit. You cannot backdash away easily, not even easily. It's borderline impossible. You cannot backdash out of the effective range of the opposing character. You cannot. It is not possible. Why? And this is now Tekken 8, right? This is Tekken 8 characteristics. If you have played Jin in Tekken 7, I have, and in Tekken 8, I have, you notice that approximately 10 to 15% of range is put on attacks horizontally. You notice this with Jin's jab and Jin's down forward 1. There is so much range on it. You cannot escape. You cannot escape. So this forces you to make decisions up close. You cannot backdash option select, like MainMan said. And this forces you to a close range, meaning you now need to know, really need to know, what is going on the other side with the other character. Because you now, to not just stand there and take it, need to make, and this is again the word, active defensive decisions, right? The sidestep. And the sidestep carries way more risk in Tekken than the backdash. The sidestep is way more risky. Because you need to, this is the stupid part about Tekken, that in a 3D game, sideways movement, which you think should be a easy to acquire feature of the game, in Tekken it's not. Which is funny, right? Sideways movement in Tekken is mega advanced. You need to know what to do. But if you do it right, you get the most reward in Tekken, it's a launch, right? You sidestep at the right time, the right thing, you get a straight up launch. The biggest reward in Tekken, the launch punish. So, but now my personal opinion is also this. I would have liked Tekken 8, we are not in Season 2 yet, I would have liked this to be a little bit less. If that would have been a little bit less, I would have really loved the game. For me, the only thing I would have liked to see is variable frame data on heat dash and heat smashes to not be, well, yeah, I mean, I would have liked them to not be plus. That kind of defeats the purpose of the super move, right? So with heat smashes, we need to talk about the risk reward afterwards. But with heat dashes, I think this also makes defending really stupid, because if everything is +5, so everything that's heat dashed on block is +5, right? This obviously creates very stupid problems in terms of the game doesn't even give you the incentive anymore to properly learn shit, because now everything is +5, which creates stupid things. For example, the most prominent example is take Steve's running 2. If you heat dash that on block, it's +5. Now take Feng's shoulder. If you heat dash that on block, it's +5. Does that make sense? Fuck no. Holy shit, no. Heat engager was +17, is now +9. On block, it should still be +5 unless something crazy happened. Now, does this make sense? No, that doesn't make sense. Why is that? Why is Feng's shoulder +5? And in the beginning, while people still had hope that they adjust this, every pro player talked about this. Every high-level player said, this doesn't make sense. I know why they did it, to make it easier to understand, right? So this is a design problem, which also makes defense harder, because there is no longer the layer for you to go in and get rewarded for knowledge, because they eliminated this when it comes to the new heat stuff they put on top of Tekken. They wanted to make it as easy as possible to understand. That is why everything is +5. But that creates obvious problems. Steve's running 2 is +6 on block normally. And if you heat dash it, it gets +5. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Now, I dislike this from a design perspective, because it doesn't provide you any incentive anymore to go really deep into it, right? I would think, in my world, Feng's shoulder heat dashed on block shouldn't be +5. It should be, probably, honestly, -5. It's still safe. It goes from launch punishable to safe, but it shouldn't be +5 on block. This would also reduce the amount of times you're confronted with these free on-block plus frame situations. I can't take this anymore. This is why I play less, and I have so much playtime in Tekken 8, you wouldn't believe it. But now, after more than a year, every single time it happens, it just makes me mad, because you shouldn't be, it's my opinion, you shouldn't be +5 there for free by throwing out this shoulder. You shouldn't. Yeah, of course I still play Tekken 8. I still think Tekken 8 in the grand scheme is a good game, and it's a good product. But it could be way fucking better. But if I look macro on fighting games right now, Tekken 8, yeah, there's not, you know, except from apart from the gameplay, it's a pretty good deal, to be honest. But the gameplay makes me, every time I play it, these situations where the game wants design-wise, the game makes it on purpose so hard to defend that it gets annoying, because I need to gamble, right? I am the opponent is +5 on block for free. If I want to take any defensive options after it, except just taking it, that is a huge risk. That is a huge risk. Now we get into the really absurd territory, which is the character toolkit. If you take a look at this, and this is why Tekken 8 also is incredibly hard to defend. It's incredibly hard to defend. Yoshimitsu free 1, Yoshimitsu free 2, 1+2. That is a mid-string that either goes into a, +5 on block into helicopter, right? +5 on block into helicopter. Or you take the mid, which is a mind game. It goes -14, -14, but forces you crouch in the last hit if he finishes it. Strings like this is the bane of basically intermediate, right? This is the type of shit why MainMan underlines, I think, intermediate play. Because strings like this are incredibly aids to deal with. So the best counterplay is sidestep 3. Right? So stay in motion and you make sidestep 3 with. The problem is, this is incredibly advanced, actually. And 3-1, 3-2, in my opinion, resembles something that I really dislike about Tekken 8, and it's the scrubbiness. There is no other word to choose for Yoshimitsu 3-1, 3-2 than scrubbiness. It is... Wait, I could also just let this play to have a bit of motion. So, Yoshimitsu 3-1, 3-2. It's either mid punishable or high plus on block into helicopter, and there is no option select. There is no option select. You can sidestep right duck and beat most of it, but you won't sidestep fast enough to beat helicopter 1+2. That type of design, to me, is annoying. And this is why I always use the word, I don't use the word Tekken 8 is bad or dog shit. I say this game is incredibly annoying to play. Because to defend against this, it's almost unreasonable. I want to also say one word. I want to interrupt myself here once. The knee argument, right? The knee argument that he made it look so sick in Evo is, in my opinion, not that good of an argument as people think. Because if you look, did any one of you watch Combo Breaker and his match against Atif Anna? That was a beating. Like Atif ran through knee with Anna. And Knee tried to play defensive. He held back almost the entire time. He couldn't defend against it. And he got the openings. He tried the openings. When he made a play, he got the counter hit. A lot of the times, he read Atif correctly, and he got the back one. He got the while standing free. But it wasn't enough. He tried to look for these openings, right? But Atif just ran him down. And he mixed him constantly. He has the low, he has the stance cancel. That is not... So when we go to the knee argument, I can also go to the knee argument in Combo Breaker. I can simply counter the Evo run with Combo Breaker. For anyone who wants to watch this, it was Atif against Knee. Losers... Was it Losers Final? Was it Losers Final in Combo Breaker? I think it was. If you watch this game, there's my counter. Watch this game against Anna, and then tell me again that defense is so sick if the master himself Knee plays it. No, it's not. He got ran over completely. It was a 3-1, I think. And it wasn't close. It wasn't fucking close. Now we get to the egregious shit. This is egregious. And so again, you have to agree with MainMan because I think it is objectively correct. Because you can point to all these things. Chip damage, easier to create plus frame situations, horizontal movement, less effective. You need to know your opponent's options in detail, way more to even make an educated attempt at defense. In Tekken 7, you had no chip damage. You could backdash, bro. When I played Zafina, you couldn't, most people, unless it's higher ranked, they couldn't even touch me. It was crazy. But now we get to the egregious stuff, to the Season 2 stuff. Which is, and I can go to so many examples, I take the first two that I've written. Leo back 1-4. This is the egregious part, where it is even worse than MainMan says, because fortunately for us, they fired this team who did this. But Leo back 1-4. Now, this is the crazy part where we get into territory where you don't even have... You would go further. You would say it's not even harder to defend in Tekken 8. It is borderline impossible. And this is the Season 2 stuff. So, Leo back 1-4. I have to explain this very short. Leo back 1-4 is a mid-mid that is plus 11, I think, on block into KNK. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's plus 11 into KNK. Could be more. And it's 16, 17 frames fast, and I think it starts even with an elbow. Now, in Tekken 8, they gave Leo back 1-1+2, which is a combo tool and also counters the sidestep. To counter back 1-4, which is an insane scrub killer, so we are again it was +8 into K and K, now +9. Wait, what do you mean? Back 1-4 on block, the full string on block. Back 1-4 on block into K and K. Okay, you say it's +9 into K and K. Okay. Now, you would counter this with a sidestep. Was it sidestep right? No, it was sidestep left. You counter this sidestep left. I made a video about this because someone countered Leo, and I said, hey, look, and this was already blue ranks. This was already blue ranks. Now, this is where I get really fucking angry, and this is why I am so angry with Season 2 still. The counter to this move, to back 1-4, is you sidestep left, and then you can literally launch Leo. This rewards knowledge and defense. This is rewarding shit. This is where Tekken rewards you for doing your homework and properly defending. That is defense. Now get this. Already in Tekken 8, they gave him back 1+2, which is mid and faster than it catches, more tracking, it catches the sidestep. So back 1+2 catches your sidestepped if you want to counter back 1-4. But it's -12. It was, I think, safe in the beginning even, but they've very quickly patched this to -12. Okay, it's already, I don't know why you should all use adblock. I think I disabled this, unfortunately. Now we get to the really egregious part. For some reason, and this is the Tekken 8 Season 2 philosophy, which they now actively try to erase. They try it, but it's almost impossible. They made back 1-4 jailing. You cannot escape this anymore. Now think about how mentally ill it is to do that. You already gave him back 1+2, and now you make back 1-4 jailing. You cannot do anything. You cannot move anymore. Think about how insane this is. Think about it. This move it was already 3+ frames, even though, yes, not many people countered it. Even Ayurichi said many people didn't even step it on high level when it was steppable. Nonetheless, this is what MainMan talks about. It already fucks you if you're an intermediate because you don't know anyways. But then if someone tells you, if you want to learn this, and you ask, what do I do against Leo back 1-4? And they tell you, there is nothing you can do. Then we get into the territory of why the fuck do I even play this game? Now we get to the good part. The good part is the developers themselves acknowledged that after they kicked the old idiot team out, and the new team, the first patch they did, the very first patch they did, they reverted this change completely. Back 1-4 is again steppable. So, that is the good part. They are reverting this shit. I mean, if you have taken a look at the last patch note changes, the list is incredibly long. The list for the patch notes is unbelievable. It's so long just for Elden Ring Night Rain. What the fuck is going on, guys? Thing is, the patch notes for Lars are incredibly long. Sorry, Claudio. Lars as well, but Claudio. Claudio, they are basically now trying to, a lot of the moves they have introduced, they are trying to neuter them. It's so stupid. This is so stupid what we are dealing with. It's crazy. And this Leo back 1-4 example, what I've just given you, which made defense literally impossible. You can't, how do you defend this? So, I would go even further in certain aspects. It's almost impossible to properly defend, which now we get to the other side of the coin in a moment. The other move I want to highlight is Reina 3+4. Now, this is again where defense gets actively shrinked. Your defensive options gets actively shrinked. So how does this work? Now, Reina goes into Heaven and Earth with +6 from her most dangerous stuff. So Hell Sweep, Heaven and Earth, +6. It's a different discussion if it's +8. For example, through down forward 4-2 on hit, you can hit confirm this, then you get +8, which is good. because your mid is no longer steppable. This is why +6 is the magic number. If Reina has +6 in Heaven's Wrath and she does immediate timing 2, you can step this. This is a safe, really good mid, but you can step this. What you can't step is 1. 1 is the high homing. You can't, it's too fast. Okay, it's too fast, but it's duckable. Okay, so here we get into the situation where it's relatively fair. It's very risky. It's really risky for Reina to pick an option here because she risks getting blown up. This is why you see Yagami a lot of the time did Heaven and Earth transition, nothing. Heaven and Earth transition, nothing. Heaven and Earth transition, I go out of stance, I poke. Because he didn't want to get blown up. Because you could defend against this, and it would carry a good amount of risk. Now, 3+4 was always a pretty solid option. But it was, correct me if I'm wrong, it was -5. It was -5 and whatever. Now, this move tracks completely at -6. Sorry, at +6 for Reina. You cannot avoid the kick, 3+4, the kick. That was -5. Not to be confused with 1 3+4. If you do 1 into the kick is -9. I think it still is. Correct me if I'm wrong. 3+4, they changed from -5 to +3. So now you have a brain dead option, which you can just choose to go when you go into Heaven and Earth, and the opponent now needs to actively do something. For example, Power Crush or Parry or Mash. Because you're only +6 and the move is, I think, 18 frames. So if you can mash if you want, you can Power Crush, you can Parry, you can Sabaki. But the thing is, and this is why I think it's so hard to defend in this game, it doesn't feel good to do that. Because it's still a guess, right? It's still a guess. And because these situations a lot of the time are that easily creatable, it leads to a meta where, and this is where the aggression comes. This is obviously per design. They did all of this, and this is just, I mean, these are just my main points, right? They did all of this, what I listed. They did that because they felt Tekken should be more aggressive. There should be more fast interaction between players, and you should be forced to make decisions that have consequences more. I think they went too hard on the side of the aggressor, but it is what we have to deal with. Now, what I will say is I can understand if you go from the perspective of the developers, that if you think Tekken is too stale and we want to spice things up, there are I don't know many ways to do that without introducing more frames, more plus frames, more mix. I don't know a good way how you would do that, or an easy way, if you don't go that route. They choose that route, and now we are dealing with this. That is basically my take. If you go through these options, and Season 2 made this a lot worse, defense is incredibly risky. Defense is just incredibly risky. I think they wanted to have it that way, so you can't just block. Right? It's obvious. This is why we have chip damage. This is why they neutered the backdash, because they want you to be more active. They want you to take more crucial decisions, like a sidestep, like a Sabaki, like a parry, like a Power Crush, right? I mean, you literally have some moves in the game, which I think is stupid, that is my personal opinion, where Power Crush is your go-to defensive option. And if you combine all of this with the natural quality of Tekken, for some people it's a curse, that the game has so many moves and so many exceptions, because Tekken is a game of so many exceptions. where suddenly you have Yoshimitsu's flash is introduced, right? Raven's escape parry. Suddenly you need to keep in mind if certain characters are like Heihachi or Reina are in stance while in heat, they suddenly can automatically counter your mash option. This makes Tekken 8 obviously incredibly hard to defend and way harder than Tekken 7. Obviously. Not because defending in and of itself is that much like nerfed, but because offense is so much buffed. So yeah, I would say MainMan is almost. I would even frame this more drastically than MainMan did, because some of these moves were just. I mean, Leo back 1-4. There is no world in which, if you don't have a brain tumor, can justify what they did with that move, which thankfully got reverted. Right? It got reverted. The New Balance team looked at this and were like, "You are morons. Are you stupid?" And they changed back 1-4 that it's again steppable, right? Let's be real, right? The New Balance team, they do shit. But stuff like this, the Kempo sweep, I didn't go into this. This is Tekken 8 stuff, right? So just to underline this again, they wanted to make to make the offense better and the reward or the consequence more severe. So with Feng, think about this for a moment. Think about this. I underlined this in one crash out video, but think about this. Feng, Kempo, sweep. Now, Feng back Kempo, right? He always had a low. Down 1. Down 1 is a good low. But now get this. For Tekken 8, they thought about what is the philosophy of this game? What do we give Feng back Kempo? It is already good. It's defensive. I can create whiffs. I can whiff punish. It's fine. We actually don't need anything. He has a low. He has, like, but what do we now, in the spirit of Tekken 8, give this character? We give him a hell sweep, which breaks balconies and shit. Why? We want to make shit more explosive. We want to give you a harder hitting option. And I think this philosophy is a bit disgusting, you know? When you see back Kempo, if you think, oh yeah, what he really needs here is a harder hitting hell sweep, or like is a hell sweep in general, right? What is this? And guys, I know this move doesn't get used much. It's not about the quality of the move here. It's about the philosophy here. I know it doesn't get used much because it's risky. But in my opinion, this is a bit of a scrubby design. Why do we need this? Like it tells you something about the direction of this game when you look at back Kempo and think, you know what? We should give him a hard-hitting sweep. And there are certain... I make it even more clear why defense is so difficult. Let's take Heihachi, right? Heihachi is on screen right now. I like Heihachi. Now, Heihachi is considered a relatively fair character, right? In the meta right now. Like, whatever, in Tekken 8. He's considered, like, relatively fair. Now, even if you go to him, I said this once already. His heat smash. It's super linear. Okay? But this now makes you have to know this. So let's say Heihachi is in heat and he combos you and he gets you to the wall. If you now mindlessly tech roll, you give him a free heat smash. Because he will just put this shit on your block, right? After you tech roll, he will just heat smash you. It's free. It's completely free. Now, think about this. When we go to like intermediate lower level player, how many people think actively about this scenario? If Heihachi combos you, and you just mindlessly tech roll on wake up, he will put you in a completely guaranteed heat smash on block. If you should duck, because sometimes you take the duck, you are dead. You are immediately dead. If you don't duck, this heat smash goes on block, and you are now in a game-losing position, because on block, and this is the other degenerate thing about Tekken 8, on block, he gets an almost game-winning mix-up between 1 and 2. The guard break and the mid Omen Fist, which, by the way, is safe if he's in Warrior Instinct. Now, think about this for a moment. If you want to defend against this, you need to properly think about the scenario, the round count, everything, to make the decision, do I stay on the ground or do I mash tech roll? If you mash tech roll, you now need to be aware that this situation is now gonna happen, and now you need to be, for example, aware, does my character have a reversal? Because, for example, Dragunov can counter both options. He can counter 1 and 2 with back 1 plus 3, back 2 plus 4 reversal. Do you know this? If you don't, you're in a bad position. But even if you do, like this is how crucial, this is why defense is difficult, because the consequence, if you are wrong, is death. So this is why I also think it's beautiful watching Ni just holding back and waiting for the moment. I think it's beautiful. But on the other hand, you also, well, you can't do this. It's like people watch this Evo match, but again, go to Combo Breaker and watch the match against Atif Anna. And if you look at this, you will see that it can have dire consequences if you are so confident in your defense that you are willing to handle the wheel and the gas pedal to your opponent. He got obliterated. Ni got obliterated. It was 3-1, but it wasn't even close. Now, I just want to say it's incredibly difficult because of all the reasons I listed, and the consequences are also worse in this game. Because in a lot of the time, when you have a 50-50 situation, like for example, like Ling, when Ling puts you into the Hypnotist, the reward is incredibly bad, if you're right. If she does the mid, she's just safe. She's just safe. And the low is not launchable. Unless, you know. So, this is also a problem. The 50-50, this is the guessing, right? That you don't get really rewarded on the guess. This is why they changed Raven, right? So, again, they are working on this. With Raven, they now changed Raven while standing 3+4 to be -12 again. Because it was a bit stupid that he now can mix me with a homing heat engaging, I think, heat dash launcher mid that is safe. And he mixes this obviously with full crouch down forward 3 or quicksand. That is a bit stupid, isn't it? Isn't it? Yeah, if you guess right, your reward is the privilege to guess again. If he heat dashes it, yes. Basically, yes. This is the thing, right? He goes crouch in your face. Boom, 3+4, heat dash. It's like an insurance, right? Now he's +5 again. So this is like the problematic we are dealing with. But all of this leads to that you cannot, in my opinion, have any other opinion than yes. Defense in this game is basically almost, I won't say impossible, but way harder, way more dangerous. Yes. Because there are more situations where you need to know what the options of my opponent are. In Tekken 7, like MainMan says, like you could get away of a lot of times, I'm just backdashing. I'm just backdashing, keep out magic 4. Yeah. It's true. I mean, it is true. Or I'm just blocking. You know what can happen? Bit of low pokes, don't really care. But here you get chipped. You get chipped. You get pushed to the wall. We have, I mean, this is a big stage, the Colosseum, but we have no infinite stages in the game anymore. We have the new team now. And to be honest, to be really fair, they kicked the old team out, meaning it is only fair that we give them actually some time. Now, the unfortunate part is, when it considers fighting games, or Tekken in this case, what Season 2 did, yeah, we need to give them a lot of time. If you don't want to, that's fine, right? Just play something else. But to be fair, you can't expect them to shovel all of this shit that was introduced with Season 2 to properly, you know, revert this. I mean, this is actually what they're doing. If you look at the patch philosophy right now, they are literally going into this bitch and saying, how do we delete this move without deleting it? That is what they try to do. So we have to see how it goes. But yeah, you can try to play in a way to mitigate the 50-50s. But then you focus so much on defense, which again, you need to invest an insane amount of time to be even able to try to play like this. You need to invest an insane amount of time to basically play the meta of the matchup. Yeah, how do I not get mixed all the time? So how do I move against this character, right? Like it's incredibly difficult. And then again, I haven't even added moves like Hwoarang down 3+4, the homing low. I haven't even listed this in season 2. I mean, this is again, when you think about shit like this, you get really fucking angry, isn't it? When you think about, okay, Hwoarang, let me see, what's the counter to not get mixed all the time by Hwoarang to guess between a mid and down 3/4? Well, I move, right? I move. I can just step or walk down 3+4. But then they introduce a homing low. Are you into Flamingo? What? Like what? What are we doing? But Hidden One is still not convinced defense is less important in 8 than in 7. It depends on... I have to be really... It depends on your level. If you want to reach red ranks or Gümpel in red ranks, then yeah, you don't need to worry about defense. But the key to consistently winning, it doesn't matter your meta, is defense. Always. It's always defense. If you... Look, if you remember back in Tekken 7 when you first lapped your first character, in my case it was Hwoarang, and I leapt. At a certain point, I played like 47 out of the 52 characters. You challenge yourself, right? And once you reach, for example, blue rings in Tekken 7, people did Smurf runs to confirm to themselves, hey, am I really at that level, right? And I did this as well. And then you notice, yeah, defense is where it's at. I mean, I wouldn't say less important because, again, if you want to consistently win, you need to know shit like this. You need to know the options of your opponent after he heat smashes you. The most attractive options after he got the +5 situation through a heat dash. You need to know this. We have so many now. Heihachi now is a stance character. You need to know the options. Because sidestep, if he always auto-flowcharts certain options, sidestep against Heihachi, Fujin, is incredibly good. You need to know this. Otherwise you get snowballed. If you don't know how Lydia's stances work, you get snowballed. And the ways to enter this, to get it, is easier in Tekken 8, which means you need to know the options. The stances are more potent, right? If we go back to Feng, for example, it's just obviously it's a bad move, but not a bad move, but it's a very risky move. But we give him a sweep, right? There is more consequences. The moves are more potent, so you need to know what you're dealing with. Otherwise, I mean, yeah, you're just guessing, but are you a good player? No. But I talk about from the perspective, if you want to actually learn this, and you want to actually get good, so to speak, then you need to know this. You need to. Oh yeah, don't let me get started about the automatic back roll, bro. This shit is oh man. Yeah, I mean, even he gets snowballed, that is true. Look at the Atif video, right? He should have been more active. But he would say this himself. If you look at the Atif match, Knee against Atif, if you look at this, the conclusion is obvious. If you are just sitting there like a duck, and he mixes you with that consistency again and again and again and again, and builds momentum all the time when he connects, right? Momentum. And then the answer is obvious. You need to be more proactive. You can't allow them to do this. But Knee is a very defensive player, and there's also a certain part of do I want to give up and just play the more aggressive play style because it is maybe on paper the right decision, or do I do what I enjoy? And I mean he enjoys this play style, he always has, right? But to be fair, I was kind of surprised seeing that, because he said, I mean, we can all quote him, right? He said, what does he do to adapt to Tekken 8? He shuts off his brain. So I'm like, isn't that a bit, you know, now we are taking Ni as like, oh, look how you can play this game. I mean, it's only Ni. But at the same time, Ni also said Tekken 8 is so fucking stupid and ridiculous that to properly master this game, I just shut off my brain. It just is a bit, I don't know. Yeah, Hidden One, but did you do that in Season 1 or Season 2? Where are you at now? And, I mean, it's also a thing like just reaching like a rank. We are talking, I mean, obviously you can try to do that, but it also depends. This is a different discussion. Like this is an interesting discussion because I agree with you that purely trying to force my offense is more of a valid strategy in this game, obviously, than it is in Tekken 7. I fully agree with you. But there is also a certain part that comes when it comes to how consistent is this really, because I can guarantee you will hit a real fucking hard wall, a really big wall. And then there's also, do you want to play like this? You know? And I think I didn't pick up Tekken to play like this. You know? I don't go into the lab to then just try to force my offense and steamroll my opponents. So there's like this aspect to it. And this is why Season 2 made me that angry, because I went into the lab to be greeted by Leo back 1-4, you know? That's like my main point. Why Tekken 8, the Season 2 disappointed me so heavily. Obviously, you can now quote everything FiDX has said about this, which all is correct. But for me, it was the moment I saw Leo back 1-4. I was like, that is on a fundamental philosophical design choice level such an insane decision. You have to be twerking in my ass. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, Arslan, everyone. Arslan said, yeah, just play like a fucking idiot. Yeah, because defense is, again, I want to say, it's like so hard that, I mean, guys, let's be real. The amount of situations where you simply take a hard guess for game and heavy momentum swings in Tekken 8 is way higher than in Tekken 7, right? We all have to agree to, we all have to agree, right? Which is just an reinforcement of the point that in Tekken 8 defense is so difficult that it sometimes borders at impossibility. You block a heat smash, and people will force a guess for game on you. It's, yeah, we will deal with this possibly forever. What can you do, right? We have to, also, I want to be honest about this. Yes, defense in Tekken 8 is still possible to a certain degree. It's way harder to acquire, but you need to lap way more. But then again, there are still a lot of these pure Tekken 8 situations sprinkled in, like blocking certain heat smashes and having to guess for game. Or situations like you have Claudio, who always was a monster at the wall, and now in Tekken 8, he has the low wall break heat smash, which just I mean, how do you defend against this? Yeah, just don't end up at the wall against Claudio. How can I mitigate my risk here? You can't. He has the hit confirm on the mids. He has sidestep 4, and if he wants to, and you're at the wall, which is breakable, he can threaten heat smash. I mean, yeah, how do you defend against this? Tell me, how do you defend against this? You don't. So what do I do? Well, you just don't end up at the wall. So you're meaning unless I have way better neutral than my opponent, or my opponent fucks up, if I am in that situation, there's no god option for me. That is correct. Now you can also say, but shouldn't I get punished for making bad decisions and ending up at the wall? Yes, but Claudio already punished you for this with how amazing he is at the wall already. But now we add a wall break heat smash to the mix. Is that we are not even talking about the Season 2 move. We are not even talking about the Season 2 move here, guys. Like, and then I have to actually question, like, how much punishment should be introduced to a player simply because he is like at the wall. Like, isn't that? I mean, that's a bit crazy, isn't it? I want to be also honest about this, guys. I made a video called "Is This Boring Tekken?" where I showcase a match between me and KaizokuLars. It's a German top player, and I had quite some comments who said, "Yes, I think that is boring." if that is the most effective and most threatening way to play this game, that defensively oriented because of strong counter hit buttons, then I think this is boring and I don't want to play this. I don't want to act like everyone was a cocksucker for Tekken 7. That was not the case. And you can read these comments. I think there would have been better solutions to fix this problem. Maybe just, hey, why not simply take the... I mean, isn't it enough to take the counter hit, to take the like super fast, safe counter hit launchers away? Wouldn't that be a good step? Why do we need to go like that deep into plus frames? Keep the momentum on your side. Oppression. Yeah, but it is what it is. We have to deal with it, you know? And the only thing we can do is what we have already achieved as basically a community. I mean, who did they listen to with the recent patches? They fired the last team. They actually did apologize, right? They said some weird shit about Nakatsu, that now he has like actually time to do this and that, but it sounded to me more like, So they are listening, and everything they are doing right now with these patches is completely going 180. They're going completely 180. So, yeah. But it will take a long time. They were always honest about this. They said they will progressively patch the game, meaning it will take months and months and months and months and months to, to get this game where they want to. But then again, where do they want to have this game end up? Was this a correct sentence? I don't fucking know. But I again get reminded of the the fireman analogy by MainManSWE, where I again have this feeling, where do they even want the game to end up? Right? What is the vision here? If the vision was Clown World, then they were on a good track and they could have just kept going into that Clown World direction. But now we have a break, a 180. So it's again this like two fireman analogy with like one is pouring gasoline, one is pouring water into the fire. And now it seems like the water fireman got the upper hand, finally. If you ask me. This is how it seems like. But at the end, I'm just, you know, where do they want to go with this?
Of course, I'm gonna like and subscribe. I like Finn. He's a nice dude.